Hi, and do you want to learn how to make your very own foil Christmas cards? So I've made these gorgeous foil Christmas cards using my heat press. You just need an inkjet printer, and I'm going to show you how. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the crafter and designer behind this channel, and I'm here to help you get the best out of your Cricut machine. And today we are making these foil Christmas cards, and they are gorgeous. So for that, you need your LaserJet printer, you need foil. So I just bought this, it's heat foil you've got to have, and I've got this in all different colours from Amazon, and you need a heat press. Now, lots of people use laminators. I did get a really good result with a laminator, but mine broke, so I just borrowed my husband's from work. But I just used my heat press, my HTV Runt heat press, and I got brilliant results. This is one that you can adjust the pressure with. So I did it on an 80 pressure, and I'll go through the settings as I'm creating my project, but I have had great results in. Now, what I did in the project is I did a test run, and I did this one with my butcher paper first, and that's like a thicker, like a greaseproof paper, but it's thick and it's got a bit of a texture to it, and it just missed bits, but it missed it almost in a pattern, so it worked. Then I did it without the butcher paper with just a bit of greaseproof paper and got a much better result. So we're going to work through how to do that today. Super easy. And then I just made these gorgeous Christmas cards. If you want these, I've got jingle bells, joy to the world, old Christmas tree, and the holly and the ivy. So those are my designs, and they're free to download on the website. So I will drop the link for you to get those so that we can make those Christmas cards. I made the design in Cricut Design Space. You could do it in Canva because you don't need Cricut Design Space for this, but what I found is that I wanted my squares perfectly square, so you could cut them with your guillotine and you'd get less wastage actually if you could work out your measurements. So you get 4 on 1 A4 piece of paper, but I did mine over 2, which meant a bit of foil wastage, but I was doing it for a tutorial and I wanted to try the different ways of heat setting, or with the butcher mesh and with just a greaseproof fine paper, and definitely the thinner is the better. So we're going to crack on. We're going to head on to Cricut Design Space and let's get started. We're going to make foil cards. So we're going to start with a square. So obviously you need to measure your card to make sure that your square is going to match the size of your card. You want it to be slightly smaller so it sits inside, so you've got a bit of space to decorate. So I'm going to make that larger, and what I've done is I've made it white and I've changed my background colour. You just do that by clicking background on the bottom right hand corner, you can see there, and you get a choice of colours. So I've measured my card, I know what size I want it to be, so it's going to be about 4 by 4 I think. And then what we need to do is upload our trees. So I've got all of my trees here and I've added them to Design Space. Then I'm going to go back to my square and add an offset. Now the really important thing to do with this, I'm going to make these quite square, is it needs to be in black because we're going to print it all in black. The way that the laser printer works is it needs to transfer onto the black laser ink. And now I'm going to drag one of my trees. Again, it needs to be in black, and I'm going to position it on my card. Just make sure it's all central, and I want to keep it simple because when I transfer my foil, this will look really effective. So once you've got all of that, you can then flatten it, and that will give you a print and cut image. And you could also make these in Canva, because if you cutting them out with a guillotine, as long as you get your square perfect, it is fine. And you've got a frame on, so that makes it a bit easier. So I'm going to make all 4 of my card fronts, and it's very simple because they're all in black. What I've also done is I've created an offset for each square. Obviously, if you do 1, you can duplicate it by 4. Just going to make sure that they fit. And that is still going to sit on the inside of my card because I want to decorate round the edge also. And now we're ready to send to print and cut. So here's the reason that I would maybe use Canva, and that's because you only get, because of the size of the card, you're only going to get 2 on an A4 sheet because of the wastage you get around the edges with Cricut. So you could make it with Canva and cut out with your guillotine, but I'm going to do it this way for today. So we're going to send it to print and cut. I'm going to send it to my printer, and I'm sending it to my LaserJet printer. That is the printer you need for hot foiling because the laser ink, when heated, sticks to the foil. So I'm going to remove the bleed, use my system dialog. You'd have to reduce down Design Space, and I still want it to be the best quality even though it's black ink, because I want lots of ink there so that it covers well. And once it's sent to print, you can cut that out, and then you're going to cut out on your Cricut. So I'm going to send this as heavy cardstock and more and cut that out. Here we are. So this printer prints off in black and white, and it is a LaserJet printer. So the laser means that it sticks the foil to it. So now we're cutting out. We're just going around the edges, and all it's going to do is cut these out in blocks so that we can foil them. And I love the fact that this is so much easier to do than working with a foil pen or a foil quill or all the other things you can foil with, the attachments that aren't always as consistent as you'd like. So I feel this is a more consistent option. Here are the printed card tops, and what we're going to do is we're going to cover it with a sheet of foil. So I've got a rose gold sheet. I'm going to pop that on there. You need the colour upwards because it will transfer on that way, and then we're going to put it onto the heat press. I've got it on this custom, so 190 degrees, 45 seconds and 80 kilograms. And then you're going to pop your paper on there. Now I did do one earlier and I didn't protect it, so that goes on there, and then you're going to cover it with a piece of paper, and there's the piece of paper, so that's going to stop it from burning. So I'm going to pop that in. I've got my glove and I'm going to pull it out, and that is actually fine, and there are my transfers underneath, and it does look like they've done okay actually. So I'm going to take it over there and we'll have a look. And this is the glitter backing, so that we're going to cut out 2 squares. I've done it in 2 different colours, so I've got 2 green and I've ended up going for 2 bronze to match my rose gold. I've got everything ready to go. So these are some that I did the other day to practice, and I love how they've come out. So I've been really practicing with the heat press, and I mean that's just one large foil, and I think it's all about getting your temperature right. So I read my temperature out earlier, I'll read it again. So the temperature I've used, I set my own custom at 190 degrees centigrade for 45 seconds, and it was 80 kilograms. Obviously you can use a laminator, or you can get a special laminator for foiling, which is meant to be the best thing. So just a note is the paper that I used over the top when I ran it through the heat press, this is like a bit of a greaseproof paper still, even though it's not the butcher paper, but you could just use greaseproof paper from the kitchen. I just found that my paper that came with my heat press, because it's got a bit of texture to it, it was a bit thick and textured, and that affected the quality. So when you look at the one that I did with that, I mean, I'm going to get away with it because it's evenly marked. It looks like it's meant to be, so I am going to get away with that. And there's the other one, so it's just like a bit of a mottled effect with foil, but that's because it's got a bit of a texture to it. So this one I've done without, so truth will tell, and that is so much better. That I do really want to invest in the proper laminator, but that's done a really good job. And I've allowed that to cool, and they're so lovely and so simple. And the thing is, as long as you get your heat and your pressure right, they're pretty consistent. So now we're going to build the cards, and this is the super easy bit. So I've cut my background, and they're going to be really, really simple. They're really easy to make. I think the joy of it all is just using the foil. So I'm going to cut this down. I just don't see the point of using a full bit because that's enough. And that's going to go on there. So I'm going to pop this in the corners of this, because you can see it's just got a bit of a bend on it. Now you could just leave it to dry, because once you've left them to dry for a while, they do flatten as they have. I'm just going to use my hook. I find this the easiest way. Now you can leave it plain and simple, or you can decorate the edges. And I'm just going to do some flourishes. And there you go. It's super easy, isn't it? And again, it's just about messing with settings, getting your adjustments right, but the result is stunning, and you can use these for every occasion. Obviously today I've made Christmas cards. Throughout the year we're going to make them for all occasions because they're just beautiful, and you can use all the colours, holographic. There's so much you can do with them. So please do check out my other Christmas crafts. I've got lots. I've got my naughty and nice labels. I've got foil tickets so that you can make your very own foil tickets to gift tickets and occasions. And coming up soon are my doodle bottles. I'll show you a red wine one because they're easier to see. My doodle bottles if you want to send wine Christmas gifts. So check those out too. Thank you so much for crafting along with me. Please comment below and let me know how you get on, or if you've got any questions. And I'll see you next time. Happy crafting.